Welcome councillors, staff and our online viewers, and of course people in the gallery, welcome. I declare the Ordinary Council meeting for Tuesday the 30th of January 2024 open. Disclaimer, members of the public are advised that recommendations to Council contained within this agenda can be subject to change. Applicants and other interested parties should refrain from taking any action until a written advice is received confirming Council's decision with respect to any particular issue. Any statement or insinuation of approval regarding any planning or development application made during an Ordinary Council meeting is not to be taken as notice of approval. Anyone who has an application lodged with the Shire must obtain and should only rely on written confirmation of the outcome of the application and any conditions attached to the decision made by Council. Council members and the community are reminded that should an exemption resolution be passed, this has the effect of making the decision to accept the officer's recommendation stated in the agenda as the Council's decision without change. An audio and visual record will be made by means of live streaming of these proceedings and uploaded to the Shire's YouTube page for viewing. Acknowledgement of country. The Shire of Harvey acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to the land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal communities and their cultures and to elders past, present and emerging. Procedural motion, I put forward that Council suspends Standing Orders Part 8, Clause 8.5, members to indicate their intention to speak and to rise when speaking, to allow members to remain seated when speaking, to improve the quality of the audit recording of the meeting. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Coleman. I put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I haven't done that yet.
So she can't vote.
Just move on. Okay, records of apology and leave of absence. I have a request from Councillor Michelle Boylan to attend this meeting electronically in accordance with Regulation 14C 2B of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. The Shire President has approved this request and is satisfied that the location from which the member intends to attend the meeting and the equipment that the member intends to use to attend the meeting is suitable for the member to be able to effectively engage in deliberations and communications during the meeting as per Regulation 14C5 and 14D6 of the regulations. So, Councillor Boylan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Apologies is nil. Leave of absence. I have an application for a leave of absence for Councillor Junio, who's requested a leave of absence from Monday the 26th of February through to Wednesday the 28th of February inclusive. Do I have a move of that? Councillor Bromham. Seconder, Councillor Holly. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. You have your leave, Councillor Junio. Reading from a book of learning and wisdom is Councillor Caboni. Thank you.
When you have to start compromising yourself or your morals for the people around you, it's probably time to change the people around you.
Thank you, Councillor Caboni. Okay, declarations of members and officers' personal interest. We have them up on the screen. Are there any other declarations, councillors? Councillor Holly?
I believe I should be added on. Oh no, sorry.
You're there?
Move my computer.
Yeah, Councillor Caboni?
Yes, proximity interest for item 12.3.8, the RV friendly trial. As myself and my barefoot Contessa both own units next to this property, and I'll leave the room for that. And impartiality for 8.2.2, as I'm a member of Harvey Brunswick Football Club, and I'll stay in the room for that one and judge it on its merits.
Noted, thank you. Councillor Junio.
I'd like to declare an impartiality interest as well. I'm a member of the Harvey Senior Citizens Committee.
So that's an impartiality.
Impartiality.
Stay in the
I'm
chambers.
staying for the chambers.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Crispin.
So just trying to find out, it's impartiality interest in regards to. $12.3.2, due to a close association also has a family which owns a similar business.
Okay, then. So that's an impartiality to stay in the chambers?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Any others, councillors? Okay. Thank you. Response to previous questions taken as notice is nil. Public question time is nil. Petitions, deputations and presentations. Councillors, today we have 2 deputations. So can I call forward Kayla Fraser in regards to item 12.3.4, and Kayla is representing the owners of the property S&B Grantham. Welcome, Kayla.
Thank you, Madam President. The owners are concerned about the overshadowing with the neighbouring property. So they have put we have got another solution if this application is looking at getting refused, which will then reduce the overshadowing of the neighbouring property. So we're looking at reducing the peak height from 3.7 to 3.3, which will then give you an extra 500 of the peak height.
Okay, thank you, Kayla. Are there any questions, councillors? Mr Hall, can you just advise us how we would move forward with this this change of plan?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I suppose the interesting thing is that the officer's recommendation is for support for this size and scale anyway. So if council wants to approve the application as presented, they can do. If the owner wishes to actually amend the plan, simply receiving it across tonight wouldn't be acceptable. We would still need to receive it as a formal amended plan, and it would need to come back to council because it is still of a length and size that actually we couldn't exercise our delegation. So the way to do that is to either approve what is now or refuse it and invite the applicant to actually submit a revised plan. That would come back through to here, or there is possibly an option through an absolute majority that we invite the applicant to submit this particular plan as an amended plan and then delegate to myself as an officer of council to actually approve that, because of the fact that this one complies, the other one would comply, and there's probably some technical issues about that delegation that the Manager of Governance may like to clarify on something for us.
Through the chair, I was just perhaps wondering if it would be possible for council to amend the height through decision of council to approve a lower height.
Yeah, we could do that. You could, subject to a maximum height, retire to 3.3. Yeah, good choice.
Councillor Capper-Gregor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just curious to know why the applicant has decided to lower the roof, the height, when, you know, there's a good chance that they were going to get it across anyway. What's brought that around? Is it because he wants to keep in the good books for the neighbour, or?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Okay.
It was just to keep, so there was no disagreements, no bad feelings.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Thank you, Kayla. We'll look at that when the item comes up.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Our second deputation today is someone we know, and we're glad to see him back in the chamber, Mr Paul Beach. Thank you. And this is for item 13, which is the notice of motion in regards to Freeman of the Shire.
Yeah, well, thanks, Madam President, for the opportunity to address you and the Shire Councillors. And you probably would have thought I've said enough in the years over this chamber, but given my interest in the honours and awards at local, state and national levels over the past 25 years, I felt there was a need to address the matter before you. Councillor Hitchcock's proposed that Council, in the interest of inclusivity, reverts to the title of Freeman of the Shire to Honorary Advocate of the Shire, and amend its policy accordingly. We could have some fun here. I could address the humans, some of whom are men, some of whom are women, not forgetting Councillor Coleman. However, some of the Shire's managers might take exception and demand I take the matter more seriously to command the respect of the Chamber. So I will stick to the manuscript. And don't even get me started on Coburn. One can only wonder the vegans' dilemma at the Swinging Pig Tavern in Rockingham. Anyway, seriously, when the title of the Honorary Advocate of the Shire was first used, this council, there were many inquiries as to what does the advocate actually do. Even the late Councillor Saybourne, Freeman of the Shire, could not understand the meaning of the title and its implications, whereas Freeman is universally known. The title Freeman of the Shire itself does not inherently carry a divisiveness or inclusivity. However, such titles are implemented or used in a particular context can influence the perceptions of inclusivity. If the use of the title is open to all individuals, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or other characteristics, and is inclusive in its application, it may not be considered divisive. In contrast, if the title is restricted based on certain criteria that exclude certain groups, it might be diversive. Inclusivity involves ensuring that the opportunity, titles and benefits are accessible to a diverse range of individuals. If the title is part of a system that is open, fair, welcoming to everyone, it can contribute to inclusivity. However, if it is associated with exclusivity or discrimination, it may be perceived as decisive. In summary, whether the title is divisive or inclusive depends on how it is implemented and the overall context in which it exists. I would argue that simply because the title refers to a free man, it is inclusive, as it is open to all individuals, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or other characteristics. In conclusion, retaining the title Freeman of the Shire is not just a matter of tradition, it is a way of preserving the Shire's history, culture and community identity. It serves as a symbol of unity, honour, pride, and changing its generic term may risk losing these valuable aspects that contribute to the Shire's character and resilience. Finally, Freeman is a noun, a name, whereas advocate is a verb, a doing word, describing an action. What action would be if that notice of motion would be successful? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. Are there any questions, councillors? Thank you. Okay, announcements by presiding members or the CEO without discussion. Councillors, I firstly want to thank the community groups and the Shire staff who were involved in a number of the Australia Day events held throughout our Shire. I believe they are all very well attended, and I welcome a number of new citizens that participated in the citizenship ceremonies on the day. And I also wish to acknowledge the recipients of the Australia Day Community Citizen of the Year Awards, being Mr. Robert Newby, Mrs. Joanne Campbell, Miss Linda Williamson, Ross Ditchburn, Wendy Maslin, Taya Larkman and Lock 208 Youth. So congratulations to those recipients, and I thank you for your service to the Shire. And how fortunate we are to have Mr. Beach in the chambers today. So I wish to acknowledge ex-councillor Paul Beach, who received the Ambulance Service Medal in recognition of his 27 years service as a frontline emergency responder. An outstanding service to the community and well-deserved recognition. So thank you, Mr. Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I didn't hear councillor there, did I?
Ex-councillor.
I say that's a slap.
Okay, councillors, we'll move on to confirmation of minutes. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder for the ordinary council meeting minutes held on Tuesday the 19th of December 2023 as printed be confirmed as a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Councillor Dickinson. Seconded Councillor Capragrego. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Also, receipt of minutes from the Audit Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 23rd of January. There's a recommendation that the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on the 23rd of January 2024 as printed be received. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Holly. A seconder? Councillor Dickinson. And we're pausing one moment. Okay, so councillors, we will just step back to item 11, which is receipt of minutes and recommendations from committees. So we have a revised recommendation that the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 23rd of January 2024 as printed be received and the recommendations contained therein be adopted by council. And I'm looking for an absolute majority here. So may I please have a mover for this? Councillor Holly, a seconder, Councillor Bromham. Are there any discussions? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. By absolute majority. That's okay. And can I just make a note there of the efforts of Mr. Brad Vitale for his efforts in regards to the annual report. Very well done. So if that can be passed on, thank you. Alrighty, moving into officers' reports. 12.1, which is 12.1.1 is the corporate business plan 2023-2024, the quarterly report. We have an officer's recommendation that council receives the corporate business plan quarterly report quarter 2 2023 to 2024 as included as attachment 1. Do I have a mover for that, councillors? Councillor Dickinson, seconder, Councillor Crispin. Is there likely to be any discussion? No? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 12.1.2, which is the lease of the Harvey Main Street Incorporated trading as Harvey Community Radio. We have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Holly, seconder, Councillor Capragrego. Any discussion, councillors? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 12.1.3, which is the Council Action Register, January 2023 to December 2023. We have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover? Councillor Capragrego, seconder, Councillor Dickinson. Any discussion, councillors? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Infrastructure Services 12.2.1. This is the UDUP Road, Government Road, Forestry Road intersection reconfiguration progress report. We have an officer's recommendation. Councillor Bromham, mover. Seconded, Councillor Junio. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Coleman. Question or?
Yeah, I'd just like to suggest that, or ask the question, Does staff believe that this small change won't create further confusion and therefore further near misses? Because at the moment, people speed anyway, whether we like it or not. So trying to lower the speed limit is not going to make an ounce of difference in reality. So do you think that a small change will create a greater risk rather than less risk?
Through the Chair, Madam President. I guess the thought process in reducing the speed would be to try and reduce that risk, and at the moment, having discussions with Mr Lotsnicker about it, we believe that's probably the best option. While road users may choose to disobey that, I guess we have limited options on how we can actually progress that, and one of those ways to try and address that risk factor is to try and reduce the speed.
Councillor Holly, question?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to know why, or if we can look at the first three options more than what we have. I mean, not us as, but to try and convince the main roads. It's something that seems so far out to not do anything major compared to what it is at the moment, where we've got the opportunity and people on side to help us get it fixed. I just excuse my inexperience in this sort of thing, but it's pretty well basic what should be done, and why can't we push for it to make it happen a bit better than what it is at the moment?
Mr Faber, you?
Through the Chair, Madam President. Talking to Mr Lotsnicker, I think main roads are pretty set on their position. Rick's actually had some fairly extensive discussions with them over those options. Unfortunately, when main roads make a decision, it's fairly difficult to move them from that. They have their reasons behind why they think those options aren't acceptable. While we can always go back and ask one more time, I'm not sure there'll be any great success in doing that, but it's an option to consider.
Are they made public to us?
As far as
their reasoning?
I'm not aware of the reasonings. Rick may have that information, but unfortunately I don't have that, so we would have to take that on notice.
Okay, councillors, but we do have an officer's recommendation in front of us and an opportunity to have discussed and asked further questions during the week. So unless I have a change in the officer's recommendation, we've got a mover and a seconder. Is there any other discussion?
I'll move an alternate motion.
Alternate motion? Yes, councillor Coleman.
I'd like to move that
Correction, or foreshadow.
Foreshadowed motion,
Yeah.
okay.
So councillors, we'll put this to the vote, the officer's recommendation that we have. Okay. So if there's no further discussion, let's put this one to the vote. Those in favour?
Sorry, what are we voting on the motion?
Motion as is.
Councillor Boylan, did you hear?
I have my hand up.
8. Those against? 8 and 3. It's carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 12.2.2. There are to be no questions in regards to this item. No, just joking. Let's get it on the table first before we take any questions. So do I have a mover for this? Councillor Caboni, seconder. Councillor Bromham. Any discussion? Councillor Caboni?
Thanks, Madam President. I'll just make some brief comments because I have had a number of emails from around the Shire about probably against this idea. So I just would like to make a couple of points. And I've had emails that have told me that Hertz are getting out of them, Hertz rental cars in the eastern states are getting out of electric vehicles, and I've had emails about that the grid's going to crash when everyone gets an electric vehicle. And I say in that regard that that's not really something for local government, that's a state government priority, keep being able to provide electricity to the wider WA community. And people have said that there'll be other sources of renewable energy or other sources like hydrogen in the future, even though there's nothing in the southwest that I know of, as far as hydrogen goes and filling up stations and things like that. This is about as far as the vertical integration chain you get, the highest you get up the tree, I should say. And I say to these people, we're quite happy to have dozens of people employed at Greenbushes in the mine down there producing lithium, and we're quite happy to have an Albemarle at Kemberton in the Shire of Harvey that produces the lithium. The Greenbushes produce the spodumene to produce the lithium that goes into making the batteries that power these electric cars. Even though the batteries are predominantly made in China, I'm sure that's something that will come to Australia in the not too distant future. But electric cars is as high as you get up the tree. So I think it's only fair that as local government, and as this is the policy of the federal and state governments, that as a tier of government that we proceed down this path. And I don't know whether it'll work or whether it won't work, but we've, as the Shire has pointed out, as the staff have pointed out, it's a staged approach. I think it was 2 cars a year or whatever, anyway, 18 cars up until 2030. And I'm sure a report will come back to council in the future to say whether this is working or it isn't working. So let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. And I say to other councils in the greater Bunbury area to start to lift their game and jump on board and support the big industries that are employing the people in this area, and let's give it a crack and let's get electric vehicles going.
That's Councillor Carbone. Councillor Bromley, did you have?
Councillor Carbone said you would.
Okay, are there any speakers against? Councillor Coleman.
Thanks, Madam President. I'd like councillors to consider that this motion is premature. There is a parliamentary inquiry that was announced on the 18th of January looking into the costs and the viability of fully electric vehicles. I believe setting a target and a time frame is premature at this time for a full electric vehicle. The industry is dynamic and one in which council could be informed and debate the issues on an ongoing basis. Hybrid vehicles are the best interests of our Shire staff, our ratepayers and the environment at this time. On a practical level, hybrid vehicles will ensure the safety of our staff, which can convert to petrol only when needed. Isolated places, for example, late at night, they're on their own. But for most of the time they could run on electricity for normal day-to-day use and thereby reduce gas emissions. Having said that, how are they to charge them and at what cost? Are we, as ratepayers, expected to pay for their electricity costs to charge their cars up overnight, every night and on weekends? If not, how does that work? Currently, fuel cards and credit cards can be used to purchase fuel, or reimbursements sought if no credit card facility is available to appropriate staff. We were told at the briefing that the Shire trades in our vehicles approximately 80,000 kilometres, so it's not a hard ask to retain hybrid cars in the near future and reassess on a regular basis, by which time we have more chargers at work and a firm policy, which we don't have at the moment, on how the vehicles are to be paid for when charging up for personal use. The alternative is to return to the carpool policy and restrict personal use of vehicles until such time as that there are more charges available during work hours and a firm policy developed to cope with the increased costs. On a national level, the federal government can't afford to continue dropping the fuel excise, which was until more recently 48.8 cents per litre, generating $13.7 billion in revenue for the last financial year for the government. The Australian Automobile Association has presented a pre-budget submission to the federal government for 2024-25 to introduce a road user charge to bring electric vehicles and other zero-emission vehicles into the tax system, and also to ensure charging compatibility across all EVs, which they are not at the moment. To enable the use of the latest technology, internal combustion engine vehicles in Australia will require higher fuel quality than is currently permitted by Australian regulation. In December, the Australian government announced changes to tighten both the fuel quality standards and the noxious emission standards, and improved specifications for fuel quality will help facilitate the deployment of the latest technology engines in Australia in conjunction with the introduction of emission standards and hybrid vehicles. The hybrid model is the way to go at this point in time. The increasing uptake of electric vehicles will require adequate charging infrastructure and increased electricity grid capacity. The National Electric Vehicle Strategy identifies the need to establish the resources, the systems and the infrastructure to enable rapid EV uptake. However, the actions through which the Commonwealth, state and territories need to collaborate to ready the electricity grid for EV uptake are not clearly articulated. Coordinated planning led by the Commonwealth and addressing grid readiness, including electricity generation capacity and distribution, is essential to support the deployment of full electric vehicles. The AAA's position is that electric and other zero-emission vehicles should urgently be brought into a road use tax system. So having set a target and a timeframe on EV vehicles is premature. We should invest in hybrids as our trade-in time approaches and reassess constantly and keep an eye on the market.
Check two.
On the market. So I'm not against electric vehicles. I just think that full electric vehicles at 30% of the Shire's light vehicle fleet at this point in time is premature, and we should be looking at hybrid vehicles. So I urge councillors to reject this motion until such time as we can get some policies in place. We're not asking our ratepayers to pay for staff charging, and we have a better system in place given that the federal government inquiry.
Thanks, Councillor Coleman. Do I have a speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Cavani, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, and thanks, Councillor Coleman, for your comments. Look, there's parliamentary committees into all different things all the time. They just had one into the live sheep export not too long ago, but we've been exporting sheep for years and years. The path of the electric vehicles has been on the agenda now for quite some time, for quite a long time. So to bring in all these other issues is just white noise in essence. Look, there's been plenty of costings done with regards to charging up with electricity and fuel where there's been savings made. The officer's report shows you where there's going to be savings. So why wouldn't we go down this path? There's deadlines being put in place now. The ACT have put a ban on petrol and diesel cars by 2035. So you can see the way it's going. This is the way it's going. So why sit on our hands? Let's lead it. Let's lead the way in WA. As with regards to fuel excise or whether there's a road levy charge, outside of our jurisdiction, let's stick to our swim lanes. We're a local government. That'll happen. The federal government make those decisions. Whether the grid can be powered or not, that's a state government decision, not a local government decision. But this is the way they're all going. So there's no point in us waiting any longer. It's going to come where they're going to put a deadline in place eventually here in WA, and this is the way we have to go.
Thank you, Councillor Cavani. Okay, we have an officer's recommendation, so I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? 2 against. 9-2. The motion is 1. Carried. Thank you. Okay, sustainable development, item 12.3.1, which is the overheight outbuilding prior to dwelling in Leschenault. We have an officer's recommendation here, councillors. Do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Bromham. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Crispin. Likely to be any discussion? Councillors, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? No, carried. Thank you. 12.3.2, use not listed animal establishment in Australind. We have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Capobrego, seconder. Councillor Bromham. Is there likely to be any discussion? Okay, councillors, let's put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 12.3.3 has been withdrawn. 12.3.4, the application for R-codes variation, which is lot 129, number 3, Antico Lane bidding up, which is the one that we received the deputation. Alrighty, so do I have a mover for this? Councillor Carboni?
I'll move it with the amendment, which I know Mr Hall would have had drawn up by now.
Okay, we'll get it on the table first. So you're moving it, Councillor Carboni, as is?
Yeah. No, with the 3.3.
Yeah, we'll get to that one, but we just need to put this on the table
Oh,
first.
right, yep.
So,
Roger that.
yeah. So do I have a mover? Councillor Holly. Seconder, Councillor Crispin. Okay, now we have an amendment to the officer's recommendation, Councillor Carboni.
Yeah, not sure what it is, but I guess we'll all read it.
It's on the screen.
Yeah.
So in short, it's amending prior to the issue of the building permit detailing a ridge height of 3.3 metres.
Yeah.
Happy with that one? So
Yeah.
you move that. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Bromham. Is there going to be any discussion on this amendment, councillors? Okay, we'll put that amendment to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Yes, nil. Carried. Thank you. So that becomes a substandard? Okay. All right, so we now have an amended officer's recommendation, which basically changes the ridge height to 3.3 metres. So do we have a mover for that? Oh, okay, so we'll vote on that. I'll put that amendment to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Those against? Thank you, councillors. All right. 12.3.5, application for R-code variation, Barnes Avenue, Australind. We have an officer's recommendation here, councillors. Do I have a mover for that one? Councillor Capragrego, a seconder. Councillor Dickinson, any discussion? Okay, councillors, I'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 12.3.6, application for overheight outbuilding, lot 13, number 6, Palmer Street, Harvey. We have an officer's recommendation for this one. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Capragrego, a seconder. Councillor Holly, any discussion in regards to this one? Okay, councillors, we'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. 12.3.7, application for a change of use, short stay accommodation in Australind. We have an officer's recommendation of refusal. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bromham, a seconder. I'm happy to second that. Is there going to be any discussion around this one, councillors? No? Okay, I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 12.3.8. I have Councillor Holly and Councillor Carboni to leave the chambers. Oh. Thank you. 12.3.8 RV friendly trial proposed new site. We've got an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Dickinson, second, and Councillor Coleman. Any discussion, councillors? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Beach. Thank you, councillors. That was carried. 12.4 corporate services, 12.4.1 payments for December 2023. We have an officer's recommendation there. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Dickinson, seconder. Councillor Bromham, any discussion, councillors? Okay, put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. 12.4.2 financial statements as at the 31st of December 2023. We have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Dickinson, seconder. Councillor Capragrego, any discussion? Put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. Community and lifestyle is nil. 13, electors, members' notice of motion, which previous notice has been given. Councillor Hitchcock has put forth the following notice of motion to be placed in this ordinary council meeting, that council, in the interest of inclusivity, reverts the title of Freeman of the Shire to Honorary Advocate of the Shire and amends Policy 3.1.1 Honours and Awards to reflect this change. Councillor Hitchcock is moving. Do I have a seconder for this notice of motion? Councillor Dickinson. Thank you. Councillor Hitchcock, all yours.
Okay. The Collins Dictionary defines freeman in the following way. A man who is a freeman of a particular city has been given a special honour by that city. The traditional honour of freeman dates back to English medieval times. It's derived from a custom where a man paid fees which allowed him to trade within the city. The freeman was also allowed other special privileges, such as the right to sit on town councils and to elect parliamentary representatives. As a society, times have changed. Women are allowed to trade, to be councillors and to vote. I believe that the title of the highest honour that the Shire can bestow should be inclusive and representative of all citizens within the Shire, not a title that may be perceived to only represent one particular section of the Shire. Prior to the award title being changed in 2013, the award was titled Honorary Advocate of the Shire. I believe that this is a sufficient title that reflects the significance of the award, whilst also being gender neutral. The history, culture and identity of the Shire is not in jeopardy by changing a title. Whilst Freeman might be a title that is used throughout the industry, the Shire has an opportunity to lead the way in making positive changes. And I'm calling on my fellow councillors to assist the Shire to be progressive and forward-thinking when it comes to the titles that we use to honour our citizens.
Thank you, Councillor Hitchcock. Councillor Dickinson, did you wish to speak?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay. Are there any speakers against this motion? Councillor Coleman.
Thanks, Madam President. I think there's two issues to consider here. In the interest of inclusivity, the current context, Freeman is like human. It covers men, women and the LGBTQI sectors in our community. The role of an advocate is to offer independent support to those who feel that they are not being heard and to ensure they are taken seriously and that their rights are respected. Having an honorary advocate will confuse matters with expectations that the honorary advocate will be working in an honorary capacity. The Harvey Shire currently has advocacy priorities. The Harvey Community Precinct is an advocacy priority, the Leisure Centre, and so on and so on. So does our advocacy, the honorary advocate of the Shire, get involved in those projects? Other shires noted that the Shire's honorary freeman is a rare occurrence and is highly regarded. I believe that an advocate is not rare, nor is an advocate as highly regarded. Anyone can be an advocate, not anyone can be a freeman. To reduce the prestige of the freeman of the Shire to an honorary advocate, which is a working title, diminishes the award itself and also the worthiness of the applicant and holder of the award. So what are other shires doing? As late as December 2023, many shires throughout Western Australia appointed men and women as freemen of the Shire. Our council policy, and most of the other councils have council policies that include the honorary freeman of the Shire be awarded to someone of significant and worthy prestige. So I urge councillors to vote against this because it will create confusion and diminish the standing of the award.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Do I have a speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd just like to see us leave the history and the prestigiousness of these awards alone, because if we change it today, next week are we going to change it to something else because someone else doesn't like the wording or whatever, and each time it lessens the awards that have been given out previously, I believe. So I think we should be really taking a good hard look at it, leaving it as it is, and let the history and the prestige of these awards take its place.
Thank you, Councillor Holly. A speaker for? A speaker against? Councillor Cabani.
I too, like Councillor Holly and Councillor Coleman, are against this as well. I mean, what does an honorary advocate mean? An unpaid salesman of the Shire? A volunteer consultant? It just demeans the whole prestige of being a Freeman. The Freeman that, as I looked on the internet, most of the other councils have. Now, if there's a way to change the award and that, then maybe it should be done through a motion with WALGA, where every council changes it to a uniform award. But for us to change it to honorary advocate, and you've still got councils that are Freemen, I mean, it just diminishes the value of the award, in my view. I mean, you all know my view on wokeism and virtue signalling. You heard it with the Welcome to Country that was previously before council, and how much I was against that. And I think this is just another wokeism, just another sense of virtue signalling. The Lions Top Award is the Melvin Jones Award. The Rotary Top Award is the Paul Harris Award. There's plenty of examples where men's names or word men in a title or whatever is used throughout Australia. So, like Councillor Coleman and Holly, I think leave it as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Cabani. Do I have a speaker for? Councillor Dickinson.
I don't think changing the name changes the prestige of the award. As has been noted in the report, the name has been changed already, and it's going back to a previous name, so it's not going to change the significance. We've only ever had one Freeman of the Shire, I believe, and which was rightly awarded at the time. We're still going to have the same process of receiving the award. We're still going to have the same process of the nomination and everything, so nothing is changing. It's just the title that's changing. So I think it's worthy to have this discussion, and I don't have a problem with changing the name, so I'll be voting for.
Any speaker against? For? Councillor Hitchcock, over to you.
I think I've said all I need to say. Thank you.
Okay then, councillors, let's put this one to the vote. So all those in favour, show of hands please. 3. Those against? The motion is lost. Thank you. Okay, notice of motion for the following meeting. Councillor Cabani has put forth the following notice of motion as read. Questions by members of which due notice has been given is nil. Reports of members. Councillors, are there any councillors that wish to report any activities or anything? Councillor Bromman.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that I was really impressed with the attendance at on Australia Day down at Ridley Place. We had quite a few hundred people there, and a great thing run by the Lions at Australian. So I just wanted to thank all the volunteers that helped out down there. It was really a brilliant day, and we had lots of new Australian citizens who were looking forward to participating in our inclusive community. So I just wanted to thank all those people who did that, including staff, who did a brilliant job of the setup, and and help me go through the day. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bromham. Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you. I would just like to concur with Councillor Bromham, and I do believe in discussions that I had with the Lions unofficially that they thought it was a higher number than last year, so they were very impressed with the numbers, and it was a beautiful day, beautiful setting. Of course, I'd also like to thank staff for their involvement. They did an excellent job, and I'd just like to thank all the volunteers and other councillors that attended as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports, councillors? Okay, thank you. 17, new business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of meeting is nil. Matters behind closed doors. Council, I move a motion that we move behind closed doors. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Caprigo. All those in favour? Hands up. All those in favour to move behind closed doors? Thank you. Thank you and welcome back. I'm pleased to announce that Council has moved to award the tender for the Harvey Senior Citizens Upgrade, and also has awarded the tender for the provision of sport field lighting and electrical infrastructure at the Brunswick Recreation Ground. Okay, is there any other business? If not, then I declare the meeting closed. And thank you everyone for your attendance.